Okay, so if your town is struggling with slow, unreliable, or maybe just non-existent broadband, you are definitely not alone. But what if the solution wasn't some brand new, complicated federal program? What if it's been hiding in plain sight this whole time? Well, the answer might be a lot closer than you think.
It sounds a little weird, doesn't it? But stick with me here. The very program that was designed to get schools and libraries connected to the internet has this built-in and, frankly, often overlooked feature that can help wire up entire communities. And that solution is the E-rate program. Now, you hear E-rate and you probably think, oh yeah, that's the discount for schools. And you're right, but that's not the whole story. It is a really powerful and seriously underutilized tool that can become the financial backbone for huge community infrastructure projects. So at its core, yeah, E-rate's mission is to bridge the digital divide for students. And it does that by giving schools and libraries these pretty massive discounts. We're talking up to 90% off their internet costs. The really crucial part here is that it's a discount model, not a grant. That means the school is always a paying customer. And believe me, that detail is key. What's really cool about this is that E-rate actually gives communities choices. They can lease a connection that's already there, or they can get funding for what's called special construction to build and own their very own fiber network. And that last one, the self-provisioned option, that's where the magic really happens, because it gives a community direct control over its own digital future. All right, so you're probably wondering, if a school builds its own network with E-rate money, how on earth does that help the rest of the town? Well, it all comes down to one single, absolutely critical rule that makes this whole thing possible. This right here. This is the legal sentence that makes it all work. The FCC says that other ineligible parties, think a private internet service provider or an ISP, they can use the network. There's just one catch. They have to pay their fair share of the full, undiscounted cost. See, E-rate can't be used to subsidize a private business, but it absolutely can be used to enable shared infrastructure as long as everyone pays their part. The best way to think about it is like this. E-rate helps pay to build a big digital highway to the school. A private ISP can then come in and pay a toll. That's their fair share to use that same highway to run connections off to every house and business along the way. The public investment basically de-risks the whole project, which makes it profitable for the private company to serve everybody else. Now, this isn't just some clever theory buried deep in FCC regulations. Nope. Communities are out there right now actively using this model to totally transform their connectivity. So let's take a look at how this actually plays out in the real world. The flexibility of this model is just so clear when you look at two very different examples. So on one hand, you've got this massive regional project in Texas called Panhandle Connected. E-rate funded 80% of a $90 million network, creating this huge backbone for private ISPs to serve a massive area. Then you compare that to the tiny village of Sherburne, New York. They just built their own local line, creating a platform where multiple ISPs now have to compete for customers. So what we're looking at are two completely different but equally winning strategies. Panhandle used E-rate to solve a huge regional infrastructure problem at scale, and that sparked all this economic development. Sherburne, on the other hand, used it like a surgical tool to break a local monopoly, which drove down prices and gave its residents actual choice. Okay, as powerful as all this sounds, it definitely comes with some serious responsibilities. This is not free money, and the rules are absolutely ironclad. Getting this wrong has huge consequences, so compliance has to be your number one priority from the very beginning. And believe me, the stakes are incredibly high. We're talking about federal funds here, so the oversight is intense. Making a mistake isn't just a slap on the wrist. It can lead to some truly devastating financial and legal problems for everyone involved. For starters, you've got to keep every single document related to the project for at least 10 years. That's a full decade of being ready at a moment's notice for an audit of every single contract, bid, and invoice. And the biggest legal boogeyman here is the Federal False Claims Act. If a community messes up how it calculates that fair share or misrepresents how the network is being used, it can be seen as trying to defraud the government. And the penalties for that are no joke. We're talking triple the amount of damages plus massive, massive fines. This is exactly why meticulous, almost obsessive record keeping is just non-negotiable. Being audit-ready means having proof for every single decision. That means every competitive bid, not just the one that won, but the losing ones too. You need the evaluation matrix that shows exactly how you made your choice. And, crucially, you need a clear, written explanation for how you did the cost-sharing math. This isn't just good practice, it's your legal shield. So, knowing the incredible opportunity and knowing the very real risks, how does a community actually pull this off? Well, it really boils down to having a clear, disciplined blueprint for success. Success really comes down to three key things. First, just being obsessive about compliance with every single rule, especially around bidding and how you allocate costs. Second, you need a rock-solid legal agreement with any private partners that basically forces them to follow all the rules too. And third, you got to be smart about your planning. Use E-rate not just as a one-off tool, but as the foundation to go out and attract even more funding for a complete community-wide solution.
At the end of the day, it's just a powerful shift in perspective. When you stop seeing E-rate as just a school discount and start seeing it as a strategic infrastructure investment, well, that's when communities can fundamentally change the economics of broadband and create a connected future for everybody.
The rules are there. The success stories prove it can be done. So really, the only question left is, what happens when local leaders, schools, and businesses decide to actually use this tool to build something together? What kind of opportunity could it unlock where you live?